Good morning. This is another version of Unpacking with a Pack Scout. Today we're going to be looking at a pretty generic, but actually I think somewhat under answered topic, which is looking at packaging innovations and trends. A lot of the time there will be quite detailed reports that you'll read that will talk about what some of the key consumer trends are, what some of the latest innovations are. And this is not to replace that information, it's just to try and simplify it a little bit. So we're going to be going through some of the key markets, the end markets, and we're going to be looking at some of the latest innovation that we're seeing in the marketplace. So if I start off with Swiss Miss hot cocoa mix. So on the right-hand side, what you see is details about the package itself, what it's worth, where it's being sold, what its primary benefits are. So very global as the supplier. To prepare, it's a simple, add cocoa mix to hot water. And the tub contains a QR code, which directs to the Conagra website. And what that means is that the consumer is able to reach the direct brand website to learn more about the product, the brand, what they're up to in terms of sustainability or any other marketing function or topic they wish to share. The previous package had recycling issues. It was more difficult to dispose of. It couldn't quite stream effectively. It is now a fully recyclable package. So they've taken the negative and they've turned it into a positive. So it's a format swap from a mixed material cylindrical composite container to a fully recyclable rectangular plastics tub format. This is the first pack size to introduce this new packaging format by Conagra, and it's going to be gradually adopted across a number of different variants across the next couple of years. So part of this 100% reusable, compostable, or recyclable plastic packaging pledge that a lot of the major companies have made. The additional benefit is that it has an ability to reduce the carbon footprint because it's made more efficiently. On top of all of this, because of the way that the tubs are created, it works a little bit like Lego, where they can stack securely on top of each other, which means that the base of one tub fits into the top of the lid of the other. And that means that you can also transport them more easily. They don't move around or bounce into each other or kind of cause any shock issues that previous packages had seen. Persol Duo cups, or caps, I should say. So the product is talks about using German technology, so it builds on Henkel's long heritage to emphasize efficacy. One dose, one capsule covers about 7 kilo loads, 2 capsules for anything over 7. It's a similar child-resistant pouch to what you see in Tide for Procter & Gamble. The main focus here is a growing need in the laundry and home care market to protect what are kind of quite brightly colored pods from being eaten or interfered with by kids. So they have to have a degree of child safety to protect them from being eaten by toddlers or small kids, but to not make it too difficult for the adults who are using it to clean their clothes to do so. So it carries clear and simple icons and how to use this system. So you hold the red tab with one hand, and with the other, you grab the film, the opposite side of the pouch, and you pull on both sides, and that will open the closure strip. Because the top edge of this strip is not sealed to the inside of the pouch, it's very difficult to pull the closure apart in a normal manner. So it's not something that you can just pull apart. That's an element that is used for child resistance. So it's not intuitive, and therefore it's not something that a small child would be able to figure out or open on their own. The capsules are also a quick and convenient product that eliminates overdosing or wastage because they have created the right amount of product to use per laundry cycle, which is another thing that helps because on top of being child protective, it also is convenient, easy to use. It's the right amount that you can use every single time. It's easy to store. It's easy to dispense. It should be fairly easy to dispose of as well. Smarties, I mean, this has been around for a while now, but the main development was being the first global confectionery company to switch to recyclable paper packaging that is sourced sustainably and made of a coated paper. The new material is a paper substrate that provides the same functionality as plastic while being 100% recyclable and able to run at high speeds on the company's existing packaging equipment. This was a major development. This is something that took months, took a lot of fairly intricate mechanical engineering work to support because it's not just a question of changing the material on the package. There had to be a lot of equipment updates and retooling in order to transport the slightly thicker paper through it. They had to make sure that the paper was responsibly sourced so that they were not using something that had a finite source and ending up in a similar issue to what they were seeing with plastic, which is that it was hard, if not impossible, to recycle, not because the material was the difficult to recycle part, but because the infrastructure to do so essentially doesn't exist in some fairly major markets in the world. So it's a major sustainability and reusability and recyclability development. It still is. It has a number of material properties, development and innovation, which are beginning to be seen in some of the other chocolate confectionery big producers. We've seen 2 or 3 of the other leaders over the last couple of years start to make this switch into paper packaging from plastics. Most of the time, this is being led by a desire to have a responsibly sourced, sustainable, easy to recycle product that they can then pass to consumers who will more intuitively understand how this is a sustainable product than some of the challenges they're facing currently on the plastic side of things. So, Colgate, the Alexa toothpaste. So the coating used for the toothpaste is made from a natural plant-based oil, which is common in toothpaste ingredients. The coatings are made from food ingredients, while those for the skincare products are made from common dermatologically safe skincare producing ingredients. So the inside of the tottle, so it's the way that the product is shaped and created, it makes it more modern than what it's sharing a shelf with. It creates a very distinctive format with a very strong shelf presence as a result, because when you see it on a shelf, it looks different to everything around it. So because it has widened sides and it's an upside down presentation, so a little bit similar to the way that you would see ketchup or mayonnaise being displayed upside down on its cap, it gives more of a premium positioning, and it brings the impression of a quality product, an effect that is enhanced by the metallic elements of the closure and the metallized label on it. So it reflects and catches light. It's much more visible, and it has much more moving metallic shimmering parts to it. So as you move down a shopping aisle, this is going to grab your attention because it's going to be making more images or shapes at you. It has this message that the toothpaste is something particularly special because it comes with a fresh FX technology, which has enhanced benefits. So the pack features a sculpted design to make toothbrushing a part of your beauty ritual. The pack can be inverted to stand securely on its cap, as I said before, like with ketchup and mayonnaise that we've seen in all sorts of condiments. It results in a better in-store presentation. Black colored toothpaste is visible through the unprinted shape of the pack. So with a black label, it becomes visible throughout the pack as the product levels drop, which results in a upscale and pleasant visual effect. So you know how much you've got left much more easily. So the liquid glide that is in the bottom of the bottle is a frictionless technology. And what that's designed to do is to make sure that every last bit of the content go out the bottle, so it vacates more easily. Because it's a PET toddle or pack, it is 100% recyclable through most mainstream infrastructure. So we've just been looking at some innovations that are happening at the moment. So the innovations have been and continue to focus on things like material properties. They're looking at how to make it easier to use, dispose of, how to make it more of a sense of a ritual or a sense of occasion for the consumers that are using it. So here are some of the overall trends that we're looking at. So you have this idea of sterilized societies, cleaning up their acts. So we have become, as a result of COVID, much more conscious about cleaning our hands or kind of masking up or being more aware of personal hygiene. So what a lot of the brands and the retailers are having to do is to look at areas like contactless, antivirus, immunity boosting, deep clean. We're getting into a phase now where the pandemic may be somewhat behind us, but a lot of those key thoughts in consumer ideology are fixed. So as consumers, we still are worried about something being kind of handheld or kind of contaminated, even if it's less likely to be the case. We're still kind of seeing a lot of hand sanitizing and personal hygiene and cleaning. So as a result, partly of this and partly of the pandemic itself, the massive growth in e-commerce has no signs of slowing down. So the virtual aisle, the ability to do our shopping from a phone or a computer, that is not going to change anytime soon. It's super convenient. It's very easy to fit into the precise timings of when we as consumers want to make our purchase. So the immediate gratification, the personalization offered by online shopping, we do have to, when we are seeing a trade-off between convenience and privacy, because a lot of the digital shopping is providing our personal information as a kind of sacrifice or a trade-off for that ease and convenience that we get for sustainability or for next generation shopping. Some people are beginning to battle back against this. We are seeing things like cookies being removed or stopped so that it's making it more difficult for the brands to track our shopping habits. And there is a somewhat of a backlash by a lot of consumers saying, you know, we're okay for you to keep some of the data about what we're searching for, you know, what we've bought maybe, but using that for targeted ads to us is becoming less of a favored option by consumers. So if we can find a way to not be targeted with ads as a result of our purchasing habits, we will take that. Social responsibility. So driving the kindness economy. I mean, in this case, what we're seeing here is a very much a kind of focus on things like purpose. What you see is that there is much more of a joy in human interaction, and being enjoying social connections because we've experienced the loss of those to an extent, some greater, some lesser. But having had a few years of not really being able to connect with people in the same way, there is much more of a desire to be purposeful, to have meaningful social interactions and contacts, to really make the most of our uh, physical and personal connections. So, brands that are much more than just doing something, like, for example, sustainability is a great example of this for social responsibility. We kind of expect companies now to, as a consumer, to provide sustainable packaging. The challenge, the task, the onus is on them to give us what we want, which is sustainable packaging. One of the areas that is fast developing is social responsibility, in particular, purpose. So we are seeing a lot of the really new companies making an effort to be purposeful about their social justice or causes or responsibility or sustainability. So it's not just we're doing this because it ticks a box and that's what you're asking us to do, but they have defined a cause or a purpose that they are fully and authentically behind. And they're communicating that to consumers. Consumers are very positive towards that because it gives us an opportunity for that purpose to align with our own goals and our own objectives and our own needs. So we feel like that brand is more closely aligned with us as a consumer rather than just, well, they've reduced the packaging weight because they kind of want us to buy it as a as a product, but it doesn't do more or be better than it could be. So this personal interconnections is obviously connected to the fact that we're now back in a situation where we can actually interact with each other physically and have and develop those personal interconnections. So online platforms have to develop technologies that facilitate more authentic interactions. So if we are trying to become more socially interactive again with each other, but we want to keep our ability to conveniently shop online, those platforms need to provide something to give more of an experience to the interaction, whether it's virtual reality or augmented reality or QR code that puts us into a game or a campaign or some kind of information, anything that engages us, and then hopefully puts us into a socially engaged setting, even if it is online, because that will enhance our personal connections. Value for money. So needs and wants being redefined. It's not necessarily a case that people will cut back on their spending, even if we're seeing kind of tighter times like we are at the moment. But the purpose of companies should be to add value, because if your product is so amazing that the occasion of using it is going to be memorable and create an amazing night or experience all day or whatever it is, But if it is something that really elevates that moment, that occasion, then the fact that it may cost a bit more money is not going to bother people because we are, as consumers, seeking the experiential. We're seeking those meaningful, memorable, or kind of epic experiences. And that counters cost more than something like sustainability does, because in sustainability's case, the value for money is that, well, we kind of expect the companies to provide us a sustainable package. And so if we see that and the price is the same or more expensive, we will tend to go, okay, well, how do I replicate that product at a lesser price? Because I'm not going to just pay more money because they're doing what they're supposed to do, which is providing me a sustainable product. But if it enhances the experience, that is going more than that is a above and beyond situation. So if you're looking at if you're a company and you're trying to figure out a way to improve the value for money, make it more convenient, make it an experience, do something that elevates that occasion or using your brand, because that is something that people will pay for. They will not pay for something that should be an expected part or function of the package, which is to be sustainable or recycling, etc. Holistic health, I mean, we are uh, very much a world of extremes at the moment. So there is extreme unhealth, there is extreme disease or lack of resources. And so a lot of people are trying to counter that by any means possible. So, if they're not able to exercise or get a gym membership, then maybe they look at ways that they can use functional food or nutraceuticals or supplements or something that will help them to keep going and improve their lives. That pursuit of holistic health is also something that has a tie into value for money, because this is our health. If you're able to offer somebody something that will improve their health, improve their mental cognition or mental health or relaxation, or does something that really delivers some actual sense of well-being, again, it is something that people will probably pay a little bit more for, because it is a value for money product. Localism, I mean, this has been an ongoing one for a few years now, but the the big development that the pandemic really unearthed was that the long, massive global supply chains are totally not fit for their task. They are open to being broken or delayed or to have all sorts of issues affect them. Because they're so long, the major problem is the fact that it just takes one minor or major issue along the entire supply chain, and suddenly you are in a position where goods may be months or days, months, even years late to get to you because they are just experiencing huge delays. And it's not just the moving of products through their supply chains that has problems, but we were seeing all sorts of new issues where they would get to outside the ports, but there wasn't enough undocking space for the warehouses in the ports. So the ships had to hang around outside at sea for a very long time. And then if they made it into the warehouses and they were unloaded, there was a lack of trucks to be able to move them internally in various countries, or the railroad was, like over capacity, so they couldn't move it or ship it, and every one of those steps was experiencing severe delays. So products that used to be able to ship from, say, Europe to the USA used to maybe take 2 months were taking 9 months or 10 months or 11 months or longer. So the simplest way around that is to buy locally. If you have access to um, farm to table, if you are near fresh produce or fresh meat or whatever it might be, then people were seizing on that because it was a huge benefit to living where they might live. Trying to reduce those supply chains to make sure that while you didn't stop being healthy or focused on your well-being, you tried to, as much as possible, buy local, shop local, get local resources. Fresh and natural kind of ties into that because the more nearby you're getting your produce and food from, the less likely it is to be spoiled or not fresh and natural. We've talked about the experience economy already, so the response to any kind of situation where you spend a lot of time being kind of a shut-in, which is what most of us did for COVID, is that we really want to experience lots of things now. Like, now that we can travel, we really want to move our way through those bucket lists, which may have been dragging out beforehand. But now a lot of us have realized that actually it's kind of no time like the present because you never know what's around the corner. In terms of environmental responsibility, there was a deprioritization on sustainability to maximize hygiene. Consumers were very much reassessing their dependence on things like meat or air travel, or reevaluating their views about factory farming and wildlife trade. But the main thing is that we had an experience of enormous amounts of waste at home. So we finally got to see how much we produce as households, because most households were probably emptying their trash daily, recycling every other day or so. Even in my two-person household, we were tripling or quadrupling the amount of waste that we were putting out because we were at home all the time. So we were eating all of our meals at home. We were creating all of that kind of waste and mess at home. And all of that, having a visual representation of that made a lot of consumers realize quite how much waste there is being produced. So now we're looking at, okay, well, if we're going to produce this much waste, if we're going to keep on consuming this amount of products, we need to find a way to better ensure that they are being streamed and waste disposed properly, so they don't end up being in rivers or seas or land. Some trends to watch in packaged foods. So fresh and natural, we've spoken about beforehand. Retrophilia, there's a lot of nostalgia, so products that are kind of were big for a lot of parents when they were growing up in the 80s and 90s, that have kind of been brought back to kind of re-emphasize their childhoods and help them with their kids to kind of have a sense of kind of nostalgia to the past. Moderation and avoidance, that's a huge topic, because they want to continue to enjoy food, but we need a lot more information about what's good for us. So have too much salt, too much fat, too much calories. How do we better track or monitor what we're eating, and how does that help support us with our own aims towards moderation or avoidance or being more healthy? In hot and soft drinks, vitality and balance, I mean, this has been ongoing for years now, but there has been a massive movement where we're seeing functional drinks, particularly light, non-alcoholic soft drinks that are not high in sugar, but provide some kind of relaxation or de-stressing or support or immunology, or they help you to kind of recover from exercise. whatever it is, vitality and balance is a big one because we're basically saying that we don't want to keep drinking sugary soft drinks. We want, as adults, to have more of a balance to what we can drink. Guided health fits into this functional ingredient side of things. So you're looking at things like tensing for looking at ways of improving health at home, vitality and balance. So that's looking at ways of improving sleep quality and de-stressing. And then you've got premiumization and indulgence. So there's a kind of focus on better for you, but improving that sense of occasion and making it, it's not just a drink. This is, like a high quality soft drink. This is an adult soft drink. This is something that is indulgent without being bad for me. So I can still enjoy the moment of drinking it, but it's not going to rot my teeth at the same time. In alcohol, big ones experience economy. We're seeing a huge lean in towards QR and NFC codes being used to really enhance the consumer experience, looking at ways of being able to really bring cocktails and drinks to a younger audience because most of the younger generations are really not big drinkers. The bigger drinkers are in the generations that are slowly kind of edging out of being the dominant ones in the market at the moment. Millennials and millennials are not so into alcohol. They are more into trying different flavors and experiences. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of this experience economy develop for the alcoholic drinks market because they're trying to reach the younger audience. And that's the best way for them to meet them. Sober curious. So we're looking at people who may be low alcohol or no alcohol or want to kind of feel like they're in the alcoholic drinks section. So, for example, they're drinking with friends in nightclubs or pubs or clubs or restaurants, but it has the avoidance. Maybe it doesn't have alcohol, or maybe it's low sugar, or maybe it's less alcohol. Whatever it is, it's trying to find a way to give all the consumers what they want and to help them be more responsible. So rather than loading them up with a higher alcoholic content where people might get drunk more quickly and there might be all sorts of follow-on issues, the major alcoholic brands are kind of figuring out ways to improve the flavor or the taste or the experience and maybe make it a slightly lesser alcoholic one so that you can enjoy more drinks with friends during an evening. Shopping. So one of the big benefit factors of the beneficiaries, I should say, of the e-commerce growth is that of online shopping for booze. It's become hugely popular. And it's great because it means that you're able to buy what you want from the comfort of your own home. There's no kind of peer pressure or judgment or anything like that, which may occur if you're in a group of friends and you wanted to buy something but maybe didn't because for whatever reason. So next generation shopping is seeing a swell towards online alcohol shopping, as well as these experience economies and other areas. Health and beauty. So, well-being again, next generation shopping again. There's a lot of e-commerce shopping and cross-cultural influence. So a lot of people are realizing that makeup, for example, and skincare is very specific. So it depends on the tones or the pigments or the different people that are using it to most benefit from using the right product or the best product, I should say, for a particular need. So there's a really large developing market at the moment that is looking to deliver customized and more personalized skincare regimens and routines to people that will help them kind of no matter what their situation might be. That's also being part of the well-being development. So people are kind of looking at how do we provide a responsible, healthy skincare or cosmetics or health and beauty product line that not only will enhance that person's sense of feeling themselves, but will also help them be better, feel better, and make it easy for them to pick it up through the cross-generational shopping. Household, we're seeing a lot more informed shopping, so people are more willing to take polls or ask for help or think about what they're going to buy and get online or in-person support. Environmental responsibility, there's a much more of a focus on realizing that these products can be quite intricate, and so they need to be able to be disposed of more efficiently and environmentally more friendly. For babies and children, again, fresh and natural. I mean, that's pretty much across everything. Added functionality, that's a hugely important area because we're trying to ensure that certainly in the first 18 months to 2 years, when nutrition is so incredibly vital to any of our development, functionality, where there's the ability to add whether it's nutraceuticals or vitamins or supplements that will help with brain health or skin health or whatever it might be, that is a very much a growing and important area because the more functional support parents are able to put into their food for their kids, hopefully the better the chances they have to have a smooth development as toddlers and their kids. The digital lifestyles, I mean, we're all aware of how kids can be entertained or kind of kept busy with pads or electronics, depending on what's happening with parents at the time. So providing a way to interact a brand or make it into a game or something that allows more of a kind of interaction with kids and their parents, that continues to grow. If we're looking at trends by regions, in Middle East and Africa, it's all about personal connections, about digital lifestyles, again, the experience economy. So people in MEA tend to be focused on looking at ways to feel more like they are maybe traveling more, whether that's physically traveling or just digitally traveling. They just want to feel a little bit more as a kind of more like global consumers. In North America, there's a lot more focus on gender identity or the kind of removal of gender identity as a binary market. There's an incredibly large focus on personalization, which kind of ties into that because now it's the idea is that each consumer is individual and we can now actually directly market to those individual consumers individually and personally. So by using AI, by using QR codes, by using activation campaigns, it's very easy to interact one-to-one with consumers and really get a granular level of detail about what they're up to and how they use and want to use your product so that you can improve it. Novel and experiential, I mean, basically, we're so tech dependent in North America that we have a phone next to us at all times. It's very unlikely that a consumer doesn't have at least one device. Most of us are running at about 2 to 3 devices per person. So there is already probably 1.5 to 2 billion devices in the US, and anything that allows us to interact with brands or products or our digital community will be very successful because we're always on. In Europe, still the digital lifestyle, but it's slightly different in that there's a growing move towards digital technology being used for social good. So there's campaigns, there's ways of trying to kind of look at the benefits or the social impact aspect of social media. The experience economy remains one that's pretty much global. So a lot of people are looking at improving the in-store shopping experience, or making online shopping somehow more fun, so that either way they are getting more from it than simply going out and spending money. And ethical consumption is a massive one, where we're trying to get consumers to make more ethical, more responsible, more purposeful choices. And so there's a lot of moves by companies to follow, for example, Felix here, where they've used price based on their carbon footprint. So the more CO2, the higher the price. And there's a lot more of that kind of activity going into it, where we want the consumers to feel much more embedded in the brand and much more closer to the ethical benefits of the decisions that they're making. In Asia Pacific, there's a lot more focus on localism. There's a lot more focus on vitality and balance. And then in the case of self-branding, there is a lot of content that is trying to position the consumers as their own brand. So it's less a focus of I as a person and buying this particular watch or phone or whatever it might be because that's the brand. And it's more a case of them trying to align themselves to us, the consumer and brand. In South America, there continues to be a focus on ethical consumption. There also continues to be a focus on wellness and looking at specialist ingredients and flavors from different nations and using them more into the food packaging or beverage to kind of give more of a sense of regional identity. So they're making the most of the resources they have locally to improve things like ethical consumption. So, for example, there's a lot of biocompostable materials being made. There's a lot more focus on sustainable travel or tourism. In the connections, there's a lot more focus on finding ways to connect people more to each other. And then the sharing economy is a big one because maybe people have fewer resources, but the sharing economy and the gig economy makes it much easier for them to continue to have those experiences and get the things they need and get to work or back from work, whatever it might be, to move around. But they don't need to use as many resources to do so. And they can also have an experience in that process of the sharing economy as well. So to finish up, we've got to just kind of a couple of notes on sustainability. The key for sustainability is to always go as broad as possible. You have to make it a infinite mindset because sustainability is something that we are going to be looking at and focusing on forevermore. It's not something that's going to go away as a trend. The idea is to factor in all the resources that are used to make the packaging, and to try and use those resources the most efficiently to make the most optimized, highest quality, lowest cost package possible. You've got to ensure that all the employees are working towards a common goal, which is another of the reasons why it's better to kind of put sustainability as a long-term requirement. If in doubt, it's best to make a choice that's easiest for the consumer. So if it's easy to recycle or stream or dispose of or compost, making sure that there's clear, accurate directions, making sure that the consumer has the resources to action the way that you are telling them to dispose of it. Because if you give it to them and technically it's recyclable, but there's no infrastructure for them to do so, you're the one that's going to pay the price for that, even though it was maybe not an intention, or it was not a purposeful mistake to make. Never ever overpromise, never ever greenwash. Think always of fit for purpose. And if trying to substitute materials, got to make sure that the entire supply chain, the ecosystem is included, because changing material thickness, for example, or type, will have an impact on the machinery, has an impact on the logistics, it has an impact on the engineering, it has an impact on the design, on the printing, the handling. Each one of those areas has the capability of kind of spinning the cards if you don't take the time to think about how all of the impacted aspects of the packaging chain will be impacted by one of these changes. So always best to try an alternative that runs through the existing machinery and supply chain, because then it's reducing your costs, and better to make sure that it is something that can run all the way through the system without any compromise, but then at the end of its life is easy to dispose of. I hope this has been helpful. As always, I welcome any questions anybody's got. I welcome any opportunity to answer anything that didn't make any sense. And I hope that it provided you with a good basis of what's happening in packaging innovation. Have a great day.